start the session. Welcome to the live session of Awareness Talk for parents and caregivers of school-going children with a special focus on children with learning challenges. And let me introduce Dr. Anupma Sethi. Anupma is a dear friend of mine, and also I have known her as my senior colleague from my workplace in Chandigarh. So welcome to the show, Anupma.
Thank you. Thank you, Sumita.
And I would also like to introduce her. So she's an educational therapist with over 25 years of experience working with children with learning disabilities, ADHD, and autism. She has worked in diverse environments, public and private schools in US, as well as in India. Anupma is associated with the Africa Dyslexia Organization, Ghana, as Director Trainings and Skill Development.
Okay, now I'm going to introduce my wonderful host and moderator of this Q&A session, Sumita. And Sumita is a healthcare researcher and project manager with Orange Neuroscience company based in Canada. And she's a counselor under the Ontario Association of Mental Health Professionals, as well as a certified rehabilitation professional and a psychologist under the the registered RCI agency, the apex body in India, which takes care of the special educators and the counselors and psychologists. And she's a licensed brain gym movement facilitator and has 20 years of rich experience in various verticals and specialization to work with children with neurodiverse needs. So here we are to start off our Q&A session. So
Thanks, Anupma. So
hmm,
let's start our session with a very basic and critical question, which is really, really important for every parent and caregiver to know. What, according to you, is learning? And what are the skills which are really required for learning, I would say?
a very simple question, as you mentioned, but with a lot of complexities in itself. And
Absolutely.
it's a very uh, like basic thing, but as in a layman's term for parents and the community to understand better, we can say that it's an innate ability of inherent of any human being or child for that matter, of their innate and inherent abilities, and that interact and connect with the environmental factors, whether it's at home or in the school community, and how this complexity of their inherent abilities as well as capacities interact with the environment. And then the children are learning in their unique learning styles, as well as uh, their whole body system corresponds to this whole environmental factors, their body needs, and how their eyes, ears, and their bodies are interacting with each other. And then their brain's capacities are also interacting with each other. So all these things lead to the unique abilities of each and every child. And
Mhm.
as caregivers and parents, we are always measuring these learning in terms of their academic success, or how our children are doing well in school. But in my opinion, the learning is a unique combination of the child's innate abilities and their interaction with their environmental factors, and how well is the child prepared for the school learning. So that the child's readiness skills, so we can call these as readiness skills or their preparedness abilities. But we don't see these are all very abstract concepts. The only visible things are the child's performance in school, which is very
Absolutely.
measurable and tangible. So
Yes.
now, Sumita, what is your perspective on learning? How do you feel that the learning could be defined?
Thank you for taking my perspective. So, I think that learning is a very individualistic, experience based, again, on dependent on so many factors of the environment. But very unique is that learning style of each child.
Mm-hmm.
So by learning style, I mean a child's preference
Mm-hmm.
to learn in what they want, the way they want to learn.
Yeah.
And I always remember the line which Ode was always following was, "If I want to learn the way, teach me the way I can learn."
Mm-hmm.
So that way. So predominant learning styles are visual with our eyes, auditory with our ears, Kinesthetic with the sense of position and movement, which is basically the nervous system is involved, and tactile, the sense of touch, which is skin.
Hmm.
So as we call it VAKT. So these are the four important areas of learning style, to be precise.
Uh-huh. So, yeah, I can extend on like there has to be a complete synergy of our sensorial input, our
Yes,
like eyes and ears, and our
ab-
body, balance and
absolutely.
proprioception, and which in kinesiology, in the brain gym, what you have been doing all through.
Yes.
And there has to be an interaction of all these things. And these are the foundational, like combination of these abilities and these learning styles, and so that the child, or for that matter, any human being becomes ready to learn. So now,
Absolutely.
as you asked about the basic learning
Skills.
skills, what
Yeah.
are these learning skills? So these learning skills, we can, for our understanding, we can combine them into two major categories as
Mhm.
cognitive skills as well as the perceptual motor skills. So
Okay.
the cognition or the cognitive abilities are the information processing. We can say that the brain activities, how the information in our brain gets processed, and we can categorize them into few major areas like attention, memory, as it could
Mhm.
be working memory, short-term memory, or the retrieval, or the
Yeah.
processing skills for the sensorial input, how our brain is processing the visual input or the hearing part or any movement or touch, how that information is being processed by our brain. It's a very
Yes.
complex matter.
I
And
know.
nothing to, yeah, yeah, and when we are talking about the struggling readers and spellers or the children with learning disabilities, I must mention that when we say that the vision and hearing, their like vision as such or the hearing is intact. There is a difference in the vision or hearing aids or something, but these children have their vision and hearing intact. But there's a difference how this visual information received by our eyes or the auditory information processed like, is from taken from our ears, how that get processed in our brains. That is why we call it information processing.
Processing disorder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then another, that's why we incorporate attention, memory, processing, whether it's in visual or auditory,
Mhm.
critical thinking, and problem solving. How are we doing that in the real life situation? It comes again as a cognitive process. Then again, stamina. Stamina becomes a very, very important piece because if the child is getting fatigued or tired by the visual processing or the auditory processing or any other processing issue, the
Yeah.
child will be so tired and fatigued to do anything else in the classroom or learning in anywhere else. So we need to focus on building these essential fundamental skills for the child to learn better in any given situation. Coming to another part of the learning skills, which is the perceptual motor skills.
Yes.
It's how do we define that? What is a perceptual motor skill? Like when the perceptual related activities, when they combine with the motor activities like gross motor skills, catching and throwing a ball,
Yeah.
balancing, fine motor skills, eye hand coordination skills, which are required for writing.
Mm-hmm.
If the child's maturity or these skills are not developed decently or well enough, how can we expect a child to write better, legibly, in the straight line? How,
Yes.
if a child's eyes are not teaming up,
Mm-hmm.
mind it, we are not saying that their vision is challenged, but if their eyes don't team up from
Yes.
going left to right while they're reading, obviously the children will have some challenges in their learning. So, yeah, these are
Absolutely.
broadly some of the learning skills which are needed, and we can go on and discuss it. But yeah, we have a time limitation. So, we
Yes.
are going on to the next part. Can you, Sumita, elaborate on the socio emotional well being and the learning skills of the children?
Sure. And so beautifully you have described, those small areas where we just think it is so much, a very natural thing. Oh, the child can read and write. But the way you explained it so beautifully that each process has so many steps to follow for the brain to, get that information and then process it and then give it back.
Yeah.
So definitely the social emotional well-being of the child, as we call the SEL, is
Mhm.
such an important skill where we are talking very simply in terms of self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
as the child is born and as the child gets to the milestone stage and the developmental stage, we make the child aware of his or her own body, how to manage themselves. That self management comes in, and as they become, the brain becomes mature enough to understand about emotions, acknowledging those emotions, building relationships, decision making, developing interpersonal skills, and even being empathetic towards self and others. So all these small areas where we think that, oh, the learning has to be just more cognitive or perceptual, but equally important is that self esteem. Because once the self esteem is being hampered, or I would say damaged, by any of the parents or caregivers or teachers or any of the adult around the child in the environment, it is so much critical for that child to even you know get back to reading or get back to learning, because
Mm-hmm.
that is really really important. And here I would like you to share my experience and also ask you to share your experience of how, with children across the world, you have helped.
Mm-hmm.
So in my experience, I would like to share a very small instance where, when I was it's years back I'm talking, I was in Chandigarh and I was working with this NGO Ode, and Bharti Kapoor, late Mrs. Bharti Kapoor, has been dear friend to both of us. And there was this child, who a teenager, who came to me and said, I wish I didn't have hands. And I didn't understand, because it was just a rapport building session. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
what happened? Because he said, then I would not be pressurized to write, because I hate to write, and only my hands were not there. So I understood that the self esteem of this child, vis connected to writing and reading, has so much been, hampered and damaged, that this child is not ready to even, understand and go ahead. So this has been an experience so close to my heart, and I understood we really need to work on the social emotional skills. So, in your experience, how you would like to share any experience which you had with a child?
Yeah, there are lots and lots of experiences what I have seen in my experience spanning over 25 years now, but I can share a really recent experience of last 1 year's experience. I started working with a first grader last
Mhm.
year and with a diagnosis of ADHD and very very soft-spoken kid, very friendly, and rapport building was very very easy with this kid. And when I did
Okay.
the cognitive skills assessment using my SOI systems and the integrated practice protocol, I understood that this kid, along with ADHD, is showing a lot of symptoms where his eyes are not working together. I can see
Oh.
his eyes moving around all over the place from
Mm-hmm.
one place to the shift, and then immediately my antennas were alert that there is something else going on besides ADHD in this kid. So
Mm-hmm.
with this situation, so I got in touch with a developmental optometrist for his visual processing detailed assessment. I could do the visual processing with using my IPP, but we needed a little bit more deeper and diving into that. So
Definitely.
as soon as we came to see this visual processing detailed report, and he needed along with our therapy, he needed the vision therapy. And in
Okay.
one last 1 year, and the family has been very supportive, diligently coming to the sessions with me and going to the developmental optometrist for the vision therapy. This child has made such a significant improvement and he's ready to graduate from our program. And now he's working at home with his dad on the ReadON program from
Wow.
Oriental Science,
Yeah.
and he's just ready to take the post testing to see how much has he gained over the last 12 months period time with us. I'm
Mm-hmm.
excited to see his improvement and of course the child is graduating and I don't want him to go, but he has to go.
Yes, definitely. So,
Lot of
so
very
beautiful
positive
sharing.
experience. Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. So,
yeah.
what exactly, I would like to understand that Empower Kids is a name associated with you. So, how is Empower Kids supporting students in the area of skill-based learning? Because we are talking about skills here.
Okay. So, yep. And in a nutshell, I can give a brief description here how we work at Empower Kids work.
Yeah.
We are providing holistic services to understand the children's potential and
Hmm.
strengths of young learners in the age group of 5 years and up to 14, 15 years of age group. And the
Okay.
most desirable age group where I work, I feel most comfortable working with younger children. But
Hmm.
now in our team, we have some more teachers and professionals with us who work with older children as well as younger children. So yeah,
Okay.
we are expanding. We are expanding, and we have started the physical in-person location in San Ramon, East Bay area. And how
Okay.
we work is that we provide the cognitive skills assessments
Okay.
and interventions based on the structure of intellect program, SOI systems. And because I firmly believe in building the skills before I go on to the academic teaching or the literacy. So for
Hmm.
me, it's very important to build the cognition before we give any content teaching or content interventions. So
Right.
this is one very important area of starting point is the SOI assessments,
Hmm.
interventions.
Hmm.
Uh, then we also provide training and intervention in the remedial educational component, which is takes care of the literacy and early math based on Orton Gillingham multisensory instruction.
Okay.
And we do the integrated practice protocol, the perceptual motor training programs. I also have experience of using brain gym activities, but not like yours. I use
Okay.
it incorporate some of the activities like cross crawl and
Hmm.
crossing the midline
Yeah.
activities and all those things in my sessions. And for me, the brain gym activities work as to break the monotony of the session,
Yes.
brain break, or the movement break
Movement
activities.
breaks.
Yeah,
Perfect.
so I do
Yeah.
that.
Hmm.
And then we do some visual processing and auditory processing interventions based on the computerized game-based programs, like we are the providers for Fast Forward program. And recently
Hmm.
we have collaborated with Orange Neuroscience, Dr. Vinay Singh's organization, where Sumita is a project manager there. And we use
Yeah.
these programs. And I also use the Play Attention program, which is exclusively for children with ADHD. And
Okay.
yeah, so these are some of the basic things, what core components of our Empower Kids activities and services, what we offer. And
Okay.
I also go for the IEP meetings wherever the parents need my support, trying to
Hmm.
collaborate with schools. And some areas of executive functioning also we work on. And but that's not my specialization. I incorporate some of those things. But now, can Sumita, if I may request you to share, throw some light on the Orange Neuroscience organization.
Sure. So thank you. I think Empower Kids is doing a great job, and is you are being the partner of Orange Neurosciences. So Orange Neurosciences is basically a edtech company. It's providing brain health technology, and it provides AI-powered digital cognitive assessment and cognitive therapy solutions for the neurodiverse population of all ages. So ReadOn.ai, which is the platform using the power of machine learning and the principle of neuroplasticity, which is retraining your brain, connecting new neuron connections in your brain, and it identifies the cognitive skill area deficits. And at the same time, we have targeted game based exercises to strengthen the cognitive skills. So we aim at providing cognitive wellness. We work with healthcare providers, rehabilitation centers, care homes, and senior communities, schools. And basically, the aim is to unlock the full potential, you know, as we all know, talk about that innate potential. And we know that the child is capable of doing it. So that's a, effort from our neurosciences to help each child going through these challenges. So
Wonderful, wonderful,
thank you,
wonderful to
Anupma,
hear.
for
Yeah.
sharing such insightful information. And I'm sure your expertise and the programs you mentioned you're using at Empower Kids are helping children, not only in the area where you are, but being online is definitely a boon for all of us. And
Yes.
it was really wonderful to connect today and being the moderator of this talk.
Thank you so much, Sumita, for being lovely to chat with you. And we wish we could have some more of these kind of sessions in the
Sure.
future. And we'll plan some of these more similar of these
Yes,
events at Empower Kids Facebook and Orange Neuroscience Facebook page live, and some in some shape and format we will be sharing some more information.
definitely.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank
Okay.
you. Wonderful. Bye.
Bye.